humanity. Our brother Richard has fallen. But we will not walk away. We will not go silently into the night. History with R&R will move forward.
This is Doug Tree filling in for Richard Simpson, overlooking the Alamo, a mission where less than 200 free Texans are attempting attack by Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. The mission is completely surrounded by troops of the Mexican army. The free Texans are also stalling for time, as troops under Sam Houston are attempting to gather troops and ammunition to bring battle to the Mexicans.
It is the 6th of March, 1836. San Antonio, Texas. History with R&R presents the Battle of the Alamo.
The actions that we are witnessing right now started last year with Santa Anna, then President of Mexico, repealed the Mexican Constitution. Santa Anna's reasoning was that the people of Texas, mainly the American settlers that were allowed to enter, were not paying taxes or tariffs. Texans argue that they were not being provided services for such taxes. Santa Anna has been bombarding the Alamo for the last 11 days, but those guns have fallen silent. It is thought that this is the preparation for storming of the mission. Messengers have been seen running back and forth from Santa Anna's headquarters. It should be noted that the Mexican army has given us the opportunity to cover this action only because the United States is officially neutral in this revolution happening in Texas. We have reporters at different locations to cover the situation. Robert Knowles is in the temporary capital of the Free Texans, Washington on the Brazos. Jeff Franklin is inside the Alamo. We now go to Robert Knowles in Washington on the Brazos.
Thank you, Richard. I'm here with the Texas Conference, the Committee of Free Texans that just 4 days ago issued the Texan Declaration of Independence. Much like the American Declaration, this could be a blessing or a curse. Mexico has not recognized any such document. It is not likely that it will. If the Free Texans lose the war of independence to Mexico, the very real consequence of execution of the signers of the document could occur. This is what could have happened to those that signed the American Declaration of Independence nearly 60 years ago. Although it is not being spoken of, the Free Texans here are hoping for the same result as the American signing. I've noticed that the conversation here consists mainly of settlers that have come from the southern American states. I do not see any Tejanos or Mexican-born Texans. I will not care to guess as to why that is, but the Texan Revolution consists of both parties, settlers from the United States and the Tejanos, which were upset when Santa Anna changed the Mexican Federal Republic to a centralized republic based in Mexico City. We now go to Jeff Franklin inside the Alamo.
Thank you, Robert. Here in the Alamo, the silence of the Mexican artillery has put a kind of unease on the approximately 189 men that are inside this Catholic mission. Food and water are in short supply. Ammunition is scarce as well. There are rumblings of hope that Sam Houston will be here shortly, coming from the east to relieve these troops. But no one is sure if or when that will occur. The men here are dashing back and forth trying to fortify this mission in any way they can. The sense is that the storming of the building will be coming soon. While we cannot see what is going on outside, the silence of the guns can only mean that it should begin soon.
Santa Anna's creation of the centralized, other than a federal, republic has angered many sections of the Mexican nation. 11 different former Mexican states openly rebelled against the change. Santa Anna came to Texas after putting down one of the most organized of rebellions, that in the Zacatecas. While Santa Anna is being blamed for causing the uprisings with the creation of the central government, it is reported that he was never actually in attendance for any of the meetings that took away power from the states.
The convention here in Washington on the Brazos is milling about, taking time away from the goal of writing a constitution for the newly independent Texas. Much talk is going about the situation in San Antonio. A dispatch from the Alamo has just arrived. It states that the situation was desperate there when the messenger left. One can only assume that it is much worse after 11 days of siege.
Inside the Alamo are people from many states of the American Republic, as well as people from Denmark, England, Scotland, Ireland, German lands, and even some born here in Texas. The current leader of the defense is Lieutenant Colonel William Travis, originally from South Carolina. Also here are Colonel James Bowie of Kentucky, co-commander of the garrison with Colonel Travis, and Colonel David Crockett from Tennessee.
Sorry to interrupt, Jeff, but General Santa Anna has come up to the press. I would assume that he wants to speak to us.
Members of the press, some of you might be wondering about the pause in the bombardment of the mission before us. It is my hope that those inside the mission will take this opportunity to surrender, while I and the Mexican government stand fast against the idea of Texan independence. Personally, I have only qualms with Colonel Travis. He has been very, very rude to me, and that will not be tolerated. I offer the chance for the rest of those inside the Alamo to come out peacefully with no worries of retaliation. Now, some of you may have heard about the battle at Zacatecas. The soldiers there not giving in to the rightful rule of the Mexican central government caused my troops to loot that town for 2 days. I did not stop them. It was their right as victors against an enemy of the Mexican people. I can tell you that this will not end well for those in the Alamo if they don't surrender soon. My men will be under orders to execute everyone inside that building if they do not come out peacefully. I don't want that to happen. So please, men in the Alamo, come out into this. It can only end two ways, and I would prefer it to be peacefully. Thank you.
There you have it, folks. General Santa Anna has issued a plea of surrender for the troops inside his belief at this point that it is in the hands of those that are garrisoning the mission.
The men inside the Alamo have heard what was just said by General Santa Anna. Colonel Travis is standing beside me right now. Colonel Travis, what do you have to say about General Santa Anna's plea for surrender?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. These men you see here are free Texans. We are here to protect our country from the likes of people like Santa Anna. Like the men who fought for the freedom of the United States 60 years ago, we stand proud to do our duty, to make sure that Texas and here people are free from tyranny. I live by the soldier's motto, victory or death. Long live Texas.
The dispatch from the Alamo has been read to the delegates here in Washington on the Brazos. The situation is as dire as we are led to believe from Jeff Franklin. Colonel Travis believes that the entire might of the Mexican army was bearing down on him when that dispatch was sent. From what Richard Simpson has reported, that it is not too far from the truth. Richard Ellis, formerly of Alabama, president of the convention, has called General Houston over.
General Houston, I will now give you your orders. As Commander-in-Chief of the Texas Army, you are ordered forthwith to repair to such place on the frontier as you deem advisable. You will proceed to establish headquarters to organize an army, and you will require all officers of whatever grade to report to you. And as it is impossible at this time to determine any particular line of action, you will act according to the emergencies of the occasion and the best dictates of your own judgment, for the purpose of protecting our frontier and advancing the best interests of our country.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Now all y'all know this. Colonel Travis and the boys at the Alamo are going to do exactly what they're supposed to do, and that's give me time to build an army to defeat Santa Anna. They did not shirk their responsibility. Now I hope they don't have to give their lives to give me the time I need, but to be honest, I think that they know that's what's going to happen. We will defeat Santa Anna, and a free Texas will happen. Are we ready to fight Santa Anna? When aren't Texans ready to fight?
And that was Richard Ellis and Sam Houston. Sam Houston is originally from Virginia, but served the people of Tennessee as both member of the House of Representatives and the governor of the state. We now go back to Jeff Franklin inside the Alamo.
The sun is beginning to rise over the Alamo. No one here is sure what is going to happen or when. Preparations are continuing. Colonel David Crockett is coming toward me. Colonel Crockett, can you spare a moment?
Maybe. Looks like it's going to be a little exciting here soon. What can I do for you?
First, sir, why are you here? What brought you to Texas in the Alamo?
Well, I had a difference of opinion with my constituents back in Tennessee. I told them if they didn't re-elect me, they could all go to blazes and I'd go to Texas. Here I am.
What do you think about what might happen here soon?
Don't care. I am proud to be here with the fighting men of Texas. No place I would rather be. If I die today, I die a free man of Texas. I am sure that everyone else here would say the same thing.
Thank you, Davy Crockett. We now returning to Robert Knowles in Washington on the Brazos.
Members of the convention are standing around solemnly wondering and worrying about what is about to happen in San Antonio. They are concerned with the 189 men there, but are also bound and determined not to let the actions of the Alamo affect their work here writing the new Constitution should Texas actually become free. They will be ready to stand on their own as a nation. There is some concern that should Santa Anna take the Alamo, his next target will be here in Washington on the Brazos. It's 170 miles from San Antonio to Washington. The concern is real.
It looks as though Santa Anna's troops are preparing to storm the Alamo. Wait a minute. The Mexican bugles are calling for the charge. The assault is now beginning on the Alamo. The Texans inside are shooting down Mexican soldiers. The Mexican death toll is going to be atrocious. They are starting to scale the walls. But the Texans, they're shooting them down as they can. I can see smoke from inside the Alamo. Jeff Franklin, are you there?
This is Jeff Franklin. Parts of the Alamo are on fire. I can see soldiers trying to climb the walls from many places. The troops inside the mission are doing their best to keep it to a minimum, but the numbers just aren't there. There are Mexican soldiers in the courtyard. They are attacking anyone they find. I don't know that my press immunity will save me. I'm going to try to get out of here, or hide. This is Jeff Franklin, signing off.
The convention here in Washington on the Brazos has been listening to the live feed from the Alamo. They are sitting here stunned, silent. Not a single noise is being made. Even the cold March wind that was flapping the canvas over the windows has stopped. They are aware that any information we get now will be from the outside of the Alamo. As Jeff Franklin is looking for a way out, we now return to Richard Simpson in San Antonio.
The flag of the Free Texans is coming down. It appears that the battle's over. The Mexicans have declared victory this day. I seriously doubt that any of the Texans. Santa Anna made it quite clear that this would be the outcome. I believe that his soldiers on a rampage, much like the Zacatecas, Santa Anna's army has been short of food, short of horses, short of morale, and very cold. The tropical weather that the army was expecting hasn't been here, and we are pretty sure, given Santa Anna's personality, that he will declare that the extermination of the garrison here was not his fault, but it was forced to. History will decide that. This is Doug Treefan, again filling in for Richard Simpson, for Robert Knowles, and the still missing Jeff Franklin. I return to you normally scheduled programming. Thank you, and good night.
This has been the Battle of the Alamo, a presentation of history with R&R. It was produced, edited, and directed by Robert Knowles. It was written by Richard Simpson. Doug Treefan as himself. Robert Knowles as himself. Jeff Franklin as himself. Mexican Iron Man as General Santa Anna and Brownie. Chris Knight as Colonel William Travis. Mr. CCDV as Richard Ellis. Live with Matthew as Sam Houston. Dave Bob as Davy Crockett. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and share the channel if you like what we do. Join us in 2 weeks as History with R&R invites you to hear another point in history. This has been the voice of Peter Whalen. Good night.
Can someone help me out of this barrel?